Welcome to Introduction to African American Studies. I'm Dr. O'Brien, and I just wanted to give you a few quick tips about navigating the class. I will have several short videos instead of a long video because it's very difficult to absorb information in a long video. So, first of all, when you come to our Blackboard site, you should land on this page, which is the announcements page. I am momentarily sending an email to the class regarding our first discussion assignment, and it is called a scavenger hunt. So this is where you can submit your results from the scavenger hunt. The way I've organized the class is here are our announcements, the landing page. This is the printable syllabus. This is a more detailed breakdown of the syllabus, and this is where you can find materials in order to complete your work. So for today, our week 1 assignments are to complete the 2 scavenger hunt discussions. And if you look at the activities sidebar, you can find more direction about how to complete the scavenger hunt. Now there is a description here of the sidebar contents. If you scroll down a bit, you can find the materials and the instructions for each lesson. So the goal of the scavenger hunt is simply to use a library database and play around with it a bit so that you can learn something about a term related to African American studies. So now I'm clicking through to the library database, hopefully. I should add that my computer is not interested in behaving today whatsoever. In the library homepage, we have this resources page. In databases and e-resources, there are a couple of specific African American studies electronic databases. They are Black Drama, which we will not use, Black Studies Center, which is new, Black Studies in Video, Black Thought and Culture, and Black Women Writers. So let's say you want to just check out Black Studies Center. You put your username and password that you would use to log in to Blackboard for off-campus access. And apparently the library databases are also going incredibly slowly today. There is a new Disney movie, which I believe is called Ralph Breaks the Internet. So maybe it's true and the internet is broken. Okay, there we go. Here is Black Studies Center. And again, the goal of this activity is just to get an idea of some key terms and how to find information about them, and also to see some of the African American studies experts and scholars who might comment on a particular term. So in the quick search, I'm going to try one of our first keywords, which is middle passage. And maybe if I close some windows. Yep, seems to have helped. So using the keyword middle passage, there are several different kinds of documents you can view in Black Studies Center. I'm going to go first to timeline. And we have three different timelines to look at. One is a middle passage. One is about the poem Middle Passage that we'll read later. And these two are about the slave trade in the West Indies and with Britain. So let's just click on the first timeline. The West Indies, of course, refers to some of the islands in the Caribbean, such as Jamaica, where quite often the ships coming from Africa to the Americas made their first stop. So here is the capture of Algiers, the northern part of Africa, and I suppose that these earlier timeline events in the 1500s might be more relevant to the trans-Saharan slave trade, which means that there was a form of slavery in Africa, just as there were forms of slavery in almost every culture, but one that was very different from transatlantic slavery. The reason for the difference is the Middle Passage, is that huge space of the Atlantic Ocean between Africa and the Americas, and the huge difference that makes when you're stolen into slavery and you're 20 miles away from your birthplace versus thousands of miles away. So Africans from Cuba helped conquer Mexico. Shortly after that, slave imports into the New World are allowed. And if we moved through this timeline, it should use the term Middle Passage. We also have multimedia here. So here is an illustration from a newspaper article about slave ships. This illustration shows scenes from a slave ship. The transportation of slaves from Africa to the America was often called the Middle Passage because it is part of a triangular trade between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Now, when you are researching your term, you can look around much more than this, but just for the purposes of demonstration right now, I'm going to copy this image onto my desktop, and I'm going to return to Blackboard, and I'm going to go to our discussion, which asks you to look around, and say you did have that term, Middle Passage. You are going to browse a little bit more than I did, and you're going to answer these questions about your item. So if you want to, you can always cut and paste the prompt, go to the discussion and click. Then if you were assigned the term Middle Passage, and include your name in the subject so you're credited for your work. Click on the icon that allows you to include images, and this is an image from a slave ship. Whoops, I'm sorry. I am doing the alt text. I'm going to go grab that image that I just pulled from the database. Image description is men on a slave ship, and I believe the title was Slave Ship. Now Blackboard is being Blackboard right now, and it is not pulling the image for me. I was trying to use this icon for adding images. You can also add it as an attachment. But to complete this, you would then type the answers to the questions. So first question, it's simply and then I did not copy the source. You would want to copy the source that you used from the databases. Since my computer is going so slowly, I'm not going to do this in exactly the same way because I don't want to bore you to death fighting for the computer. But here's my answer in bold. If other people have already submitted, add what you learned from them. And then think about, in a longer search, whose names you might have seen mentioned. The names you might see include Robert Hayden. And then why would I ask you to look up this term today? What's the impact of the middle passage on contemporary society? So forgive me for rushing through that, but because the computer and the internet are going so slowly, I don't want to bore you to death with an overly long video. So there are the syllabus and information here, the agenda and goals, which describes the breakdown of the syllabus, the activities and materials where you would find the readings or the videos, and then in here the discussions for today's activity. I am going to try to keep this shorter rather than longer, so I'm going to check out for now, and I will make another video later on today. Email me if you have questions. Thanks so much.